Today I'm going to show you how to burnish leather edges. Hey, what's up? Welcome back. If you're having issues burnishing your leather edges, or if you're just starting out and wondering how to do it, this is the video for you. Make sure you stick out the whole video. It's not going to be too long, but it should help you out quite a bit. And before we start, I should kind of mention that everyone sort of develops their own style or method of burnishing. Just because this is the way that I'm teaching doesn't necessarily mean it's the right way. There isn't really a wrong way if you're getting good results. So just take my method kind of with a grain of salt. You try it, make it your own, but know that everyone's way of doing this is a little bit different. Step one is to make sure that your edges are flush. What you're going to want to do is to take a sharp knife and trim that edge completely flush. Having it flush already means just a lot less sanding for you in the next step. There are several different ways of doing this too. Some people like to cut their patterns just a little bit bigger and then they trim off the excess once it's glued together using something like this. I prefer to use my skiving knife and just trim the uneven spots. But however you do it, you just want to get a really clean, flat edge and just try as many different methods as you can until you find the one that's right for you. Step two is sanding. And I know I harp on this one just a little bit, but it is really important that you use more than one grit of sandpaper. The more grits of sandpaper you use, the smoother your edge will be, and the smoother your edge is, the better the burnish is in the end. Ask anybody who's getting those glassy, extra crispy edges how they do it, and I guarantee they'll tell you that the secret to it is sanding. Extra crispy edges is a term that my buddy Dennis from 21 Grams Leather is trying to make mainstream. I'm trying to use it. You should use it too. So I bought a pack of assorted grits of sandpaper on Amazon for dirt cheap. Comes in a big pack. I've just kind of smashed them together with a binder clip here. These things are worth every penny. Generally, I'll start by using the 120 grit drum that's on my machine and then progress through those till I get to about 1,000 grit. That's generally where I like to stop. 1,000 or 1,500, 2,000, somewhere in there, depending on how crispy I want the edge to be. I will link these in the description below. If you don't have something like this or this, then buy them after the video. It will make your life a lot easier and make your edges way nicer. Step three is edge beveling. This step and step two can kind of switch places back and forth depending on how you like to do this. Personally, I like to do a bit of sanding before I bevel the edges, and it kind of mushrooms up the corner a little bit and gives the beveler something to take off. It kind of takes off just a little bit more than it would if you didn't sand it first, and it makes sure that it won't mushroom when you go and burnish it later on. It's also really important that you strop your beveler and just make sure it's really nice and sharp. This will give you a consistent bevel all the way across so it doesn't look all like jagged and weird. Another good tip to use is to run your ruler just flat on the leather when you bevel it, and that'll help it be consistent as well. Step four is the actual burnishing, and this step is kind of a multi-step process in itself. First of all, if you're not using a marker to apply your Tokonole, you are wasting time. They are cheap and game-changing. I'll link them in the description, but I would say there's not really any reason that you wouldn't like using this. It saves you a lot of time. So grab one of those pens, fill it with 50% Tokonole, 50% water, or if it's still a bit too thick, you can water it down a little bit further. Basically, you just want it to be liquid enough that it'll squeeze through the felt tip on this thing. Now apply the Tokonole using the handy dandy marker and start burnishing the edge with a machine or your wood slicker. Honestly, both work fine, but just obviously the machine's going to be faster. And once I've burnished once with the slicker, I go back over the edge with the last grit or two of the sandpaper that I used on it. And now reapply the Tokonole on the edge, and this time you'll be burnishing with just a piece of canvas. I find that this finishes the edge just a little bit crispier than the wood slicker does. And finally, you can repeat the last couple steps as many times as you want, just until you have a beautiful glassy, extra crispy edge. Again, this is just how I go about it. Give this a shot. make it your own. And if you have any tips to improve my process, then drop them in the description below. I'd love to hear them. I'm learning right alongside you guys. I've only been at this a couple of years now. But anyway, that's it for me. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.